Porsche has just updated the Porsche Macan for the 2022 model. In this video, we're going to talk about what's actually new here, both in the spec and tech, and also in the design, because this is one of these cars that, or one of these updates that I think when they made small differences, but it made a massive impact on the overall design of the car. So the base, the S, and the GTS models all carry over for the 2022 model, but there is no longer a Porsche Macan Turbo. The Turbo is completely dead, but this isn't such a big deal because the GTS 2.9 liter twin turbo V6 gets a power increase to 434 horsepower and 406 pound-feet of torque, which is actually the exact same numbers as the outgoing Porsche Macan Turbo, and its 0 to 60 time is 4.1 seconds, and that is also the same as the old Turbo. So the old Turbo here has technically been replaced by the Porsche Macan GTS because the numbers are exactly the same, and we're going to talk about the pricing in a bit here, and you're going to see why this is such a good deal. If you think the regular Macan isn't really special enough for you, you can also add the sport package for the Macan GTS. Now this doesn't change any of the performance or the power output of the Macan, but it does give you torque vectoring technology, 18-way adaptive sports seats, different styling and design features on the exterior of the car, which I'm going to show you here in just a second as well, 21-inch wheels, and very grippy summer tires. Now for the engines here for the Macan S, uses the same 2.9 liter twin turbo V6 for 2022, but instead of 434 horses that you get in the GTS here, in the S you get 375 horsepower and 383 pound-feet of torque. And Porsche says that the Macan S can hit 0 to 60 in about 4.4 seconds, which is slightly quicker than the old GTS, and it will reach a top speed of 160 miles per hour. So as you can tell by now, all the models, all the base model, the S and the GTS have all been bumped a little bit in performance to make up for the lack of the turbo at the top. The base Macan continues with a 2-liter turbo inline-4, putting out 261 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque with a 0 to 60 time in 5.8 seconds, which is not bad for a base Porsche Macan SUV. All-wheel drive and Porsche's 7-speed PDK transmissions are all standard here as well, just as in the S and the GTS. And now for the price, this is where it gets interesting. So the base Macan starts at $56,250. The S will cost you $66,750, and the GTS comes in at $81,250. And the 2022 GTS here is actually $4,700 cheaper or less than the 2021 Porsche Macan Turbo. And considering that they all have the same numbers, and the GTS is even has the same 0 to 60 speed and the same power output as the old Turbo, I think this is actually a good deal, specifically when we take a look at the interior changes of the 2022 Macan, which I'm going to show you here in a second. But first of all, let's have a look at the front view. So what's actually new here? It's a very small, this is the traditional facelift of a car. It's nothing crazy, but at the same time, as I said, I think it's the changes that were made are really good changes, and they have a big impact on the design. So as you can see, here we have the 2021 or the 2020 model, the older, actually the current Macan, and this down here is the new Macan. So what's new here is I think they made a good change here, or a good update, because you have a lot going on here when you look at all the curvatures going on in the graphic features of the car. And then we have this piece down here in the bottom as well, and it's just, it looks a little messy, and it looks like the 911 from 2020, 2019, 2020, 2019. It looks like those 911 style of front end, and not like the current generation Porsche 911. And that's exactly what they changed here. So if you're looking to have your Macan looking more like the current Porsche 911 and the current Porsche Panamera, and have them be more in line graphically, then you might want to get the 2022 model here. Simply just took this graphic and just cleaned it up and made it simpler. So you can see just how this black mouth is more of rectangular shape now, and there's not a lot of weird indents and stuff going on. And you also have a lot simpler lower intake here as well compared to this part right here. This isn't that complicated, but it still could be made simpler, and of course in line with the current generation and 911 as well in the Panamera, and I think it looks good. And if you have the sport package on this car, on the GTS here, you get this piece right here in body color. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of the black piece, the full black grille here, or if you want to have the sport package in that body color, and that also changes the wheels. I do want to have the 21-inch wheels front and back with the sticky summer tires, but I'm not sure about the front end here. I think it looks good in both ways. If you have this in body color or if you have it in black like this, it still looks pretty decent in my opinion. And same thing here. This is very congruent with Porsche's current 2021 and 2022 lineup here, to have this LED right here, which has moved from the position right here on the old Macan, and now they moved it up to this top part of the intake on the side of it. So let's have a look at the rear here before we jump in and have a look at the interior, where I think the biggest change actually happened. So not a lot of changes in the rear, even more subtle than in the front actually. We have a diffuser that reaches further up here now compared to the 2020 model right here. You can see that it just creeps up a little bit, and the positioning of the license plate is now inside of the black part of the diffuser. Other than that, there's not really a lot of changes going on. You have the same kind of styling up here and there as well. If you look at the side here, you have a more defined or more pronounced rocker panel graphic down here, which this piece that sticks out in black plastic as well, and then you have the GTS logo right there. And here, if you look at the 2021 model, it's more of a flat surface right here. There's nothing sticking out like this, like we have on the 2022 model. Same thing here, tiny changes, small details, but at the same time, I think it looks good. I think it suits the overall design of the Macan. The Macan to me is one of the better looking mid-size SUVs out there on the market today. And I'm also glad that they decided to keep the quad tailpipes here and not just try to hide that, because that's kind of the direction that we're going these days, to away from loud exhaust and more into kind of bury it in the graphics, or maybe even make them fake. But I doubt that these pipes right here are fake on the GTS. Anyway, let's have a look at the interior here as well. And this is where the big changes happened, in the center of the interior, which is right here. As you can see, now we have the modern touch pad, which is all glossy, and this is all black when the car is turned off. And when you turn it on, all of these buttons and stuff, they lit up. And that's the biggest change here from the previous model onto the 2022 model. You still have the same kind of screen size here. You don't have Android Auto here, but you do have Apple CarPlay, and that's something that they didn't implement in the 2022. They still don't have the Android Auto functionality on the 2022 Macan. But I think same thing here. It just makes the interior look more in line with the rest of the lineup of the car, and it's a great looking interior, very sporty. I love that you have the rev counter right front and center, and I would definitely have it in red on my GTS if that's still an option. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it is for 2022. But that's just a quick video that I wanted to show you the updates for the Porsche Macan for the 2022 model. Subtle little changes. The turbo is dead, but the GTS basically is a replacement for the 2021 turbo, and you still have the same numbers, the same performance as the old turbo, and it's $4,700 cheaper. So overall, pretty good deal.